Welcome back, or Udvördia in Hungarian, which I had to Google and practice and still may have said it wrong, but I was attempting to share with you the Hungarian language. It's just one of the many languages that you might hear in the Duquesne women's locker room, as more than half of their team probably turns to Google Translate when they're looking for just the right word. Welcome into the College Hockey Now pregame report alongside our college hockey analyst, Brendan Jones. I'm Monica McNutt. B, Hockey East on tap. Both of these teams coming off of splits. Should be a good one tonight.
Absolutely, and at Gutterson Fieldhouse, one of the best atmospheres in college hockey.
Let's talk about some of the players that are going to be key in this matchup, and we start with the sophomore forward, Tage Thompson. This week's McNutt, it highlights the Rhode Island Rams, who I've been waiting for all season long to put it together. They started the season on a high note. Lots of teams were watching them, they were ranked, and then they had some hiccups. But lately, they've strung together 3 back-to-back wins, at least heading into this week, including a win over VCU, who is leading the A-10. E.C. Matthews and Hassan Martin have been doing their thing, but Dan Hurley has also been able to get production from other guys. I think timing is everything. Watch out for those Rams. I'm Monica McNutt. This was the A-10 Spotlight. See you next time. Another interesting thing to note, you heard Coach Joey Jones allude to it when I talked to him earlier, the preparation leading into this game. It's been a little bit different. Both teams have been away from the game. For Air Force, their last game was November 25th. For the South Alabama Jaguar squad, their last game was December 3rd. Air Force sent their athletes home for Christmas on December 15th, and they reconvened here in Tucson on Christmas Day. As for the Jaguars, they went home the Thursday prior to Christmas, met back in Mobile on Monday, practiced, and then hopped on a plane to come out to Tucson to continue practicing in preparation on Tuesday. Both coaches said that they are very pleased with what their teams have shown as far as focus and determination in practice. So we will shortly find out just how well those practices have gone.
Can anybody beat UConn?
Well, we couldn't have asked that question 10 years ago because at that point, somebody was still getting Gino Auriemma's game.
Feels like
and I
20
think,
years.
I think, John, the answer is yes. Now, when will it happen this season? I'm not quite ready to assert myself in terms of that one. But when you look at their body of work, earlier in the season, they were in a battle with Florida State. Maryland stayed in the game until late in the contest. There are teams that are poised to do it. We know that when we saw South Carolina face UConn, the opportunity to end the streak for game 100, South Carolina dwindled in that second half. But I think just as badly as the Huskies want to maintain their dominance and assert themselves in that streak, you have teams and young women that have gone to programs specifically to put themselves in a position to challenge a UConn. I know I did.
Yeah.
Back in the old Big East days, it wasn't so much that we were going to end a streak, but I'm like, I want to be one of the best. I want to compete against the best. So there are young ladies that want to get UConn just as bad as they want to keep winning. Welcome into the ASN studio alongside our college basketball analyst and former Liberty standout, Tim Scarborough. I'm Monica McNutt. Tim, lots of scores and highlights to get to in the world of college basketball today. So let's take a look at some of the ones that stood out. We'll start in the Big 12. Cyclones, Iowa State, taking on Bill Self and the Jayhawks. Bucket here by Frank Mason, knocking down the 3 ball. He had 32 points in the contest.
32 points on his home floor. What could go wrong?
Oh, you kept saying that all day long. Well, Monte Morris had something to say about that. He had 25 points for the Cyclones. Steve Prom's group came out with something to prove in this one as you watch him come off that screen and just pull up from behind the arc.
Splash right here. Good ball screen right there, freeing up the shooter. Knocked down.
So you said, what could go wrong, Tim? Well, this game goes into overtime. In overtime, Donovan Jackson knocks down a huge 3-pointer for the Cyclones. He had 10 points. And, well, I guess it doesn't necessarily go wrong if you're a Cyclone fan, but if you're a Jayhawk, the Jayhawks fall 92-89 to the Cyclones at the Fog. We're pleased to welcome into the A-10 Spotlight Joe Lunardi, the bracketologist. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Monica, great to be with you.
So let's talk A-10 specifically. This season, Joe, how many A-10 bids do you have in the NCAA tournament?
At the moment, I think both Dayton and Virginia Commonwealth have worthy at-large resumes. Rhode Island is closing in on one. So I would set the over and under at 2.5 and bet the over.
So you jumped right into my next question, Joe. Rhode Island being a team that is in that conversation, folks expected a lot out of them in the preseason. As Rhode Island inches closer and closer, how big is that win versus Cincinnati for them?
It's gigantic, and certainly Rhode Island fans everywhere should be Bearcat fans as well, because the better Cincinnati looks, the better it is for URI.
I agree with you that it's surface. I don't even think we really need it. I understand the frustration, but for me, Selection Sunday is part of the deal. That's the way college basketball is. I mean, are we trying to be college football with this thing that comes out every week? And honestly, how much transparency are we actually getting, Mark? Game 3 of Conference USA Championships right here on the American Sports Network. This next game in the quarterfinals features the second-seeded Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech taking on the 7th-seeded Blazers of UAB at Legacy Arena in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. Let's take a glance at the championship bracket. Earlier today, right here on ASN, Middle Tennessee was able to take care of business, as was UTEP, setting up a rematch of those two teams. UTEP, the only team in Conference USA able to give the Blue Raiders a loss. And then, of course, we've got our 2 matchups in our evening session, Louisiana Tech and UAB up next, followed by Old Dominion and Marshall. Welcome into the ASN pregame report alongside former Clemson head coach Oliver Purnell. I'm Monica McNutt. Coach, tournaments are one-game seasons. What is going to be the key to this matchup?
Well, I think you've got a really, really hot team in Louisiana Tech.
How concerned should Dayton be? Because I'm concerned now about them.
I don't think you have to be concerned. When you look at what Dayton had to deal with today, they ran into a teed-off Jack Gibbs late in the second half, or I should say midway through the second half. There was an altercation. He felt like he got hit in the face, and we already know that he's wearing the Rip Hamilton mask to protect his nose. He actually sat on the floor on one end. The play proceeded to the other, and Dayton was able to score, but you see Gabbs snatch the mask off his face, toss it to the side. Gibbs was irate. Coach Bob McKillop was irate. He had to be restrained, which you never see out of the Silver Fox and Bob McKillop.
Yeah.
So once he went off, it was sort of the turning point. So they ran into a Gibbs that was angry, and Aldridge that was angry, and a buzzsaw when you look at what the Wildcats were able to do with them. But I think Coach Archie Miller, Scoochie Smith, Charles Cook, all those guys played solid. The Wildcats were just angry. So now they get a chance to get some rest, and they can be super fresh heading into the NCAA tournament. Let's discuss the A-10 as a whole. We know about VCU and we know about Dayton. Mark, who do you like to take the conference title?
I like Dayton. Who do you like?
I'm going to agree with you, and I like Dayton, not so much just because of Cunningham, although I think that's a valuable addition to add back to Coach Archie Miller's group. I kind of just don't think VCU can shoot the ball well enough, and that's going to burn them. I am going to take a wild card here, Mark. I wouldn't be surprised if George Mason manages to pull off a major shock when we get to Pittsburgh. I think Dave Paulson's group is really starting to congeal and take hold of Dave Paulson's system. And you see Marquise Moore, a guy who is knocking down double-doubles left and right. Otis Livingston, a guy that can shoot the ball as well. If the Patriots got hot at the right time, it wouldn't shock me.
Who do you like as your dark horse?
My darkest horse?
Yes.
I think I'm going to go with Davidson, as the standings are right now.
So Gibbs and Payton got
Exactly.
your vote.
I think that duo is very dynamic, and they present major problems for defenses. So if your team is sluggish offensively that day and you can't defend those Wildcats, you might be in trouble. Who you got?
I got LaSalle.